Yeah.
Hey guys, it's C with Altcoin Traders. It is Monday, April 30th, 2018, around 12 o'clock Eastern Time. And we're going to go over some charts. We're going to start with Bitcoin, then head to some of the other altcoins just to kind of get an overall perspective of where Bitcoin is headed amongst other altcoins, some levels to trade off of, levels of resistance, support, and some significant levels that we might be headed to in the coming days or weeks. So let's just jump right into it with Bitcoin, seeing how Bitcoin is our market breadth like S&P or SPY is to the stock market. As of now, all altcoins are kind of trading coincidentally with Bitcoin and have been for some time. So right now, Bitcoin is trading at 9,300. We have tested that 9,000 level a few times in the last couple days. As you can see, we are on the daily chart, and I have some lines drawn here. There is some bullish factors, and we are near some resistance, which we've been kind of hitting our head against roughly yesterday and back on, I believe, Thursday or Friday last week, possibly Wednesday. So here's the bar where we hit our head against this this trend line that I have drawn out on the daily, which actually coincides with this $13,300 level, or let's say 13,000. And then we also have resistance at the 11,800, which we did make a double top and traveled lower some time ago. Since we found a bottom around the $6,500 level, we've actually had a nice bullish run, but we have not broken really out of that downtrend as of yet. We could just kind of go sideways for another month or two if we cannot break out and up. We did hit this resistance at the 9,100 level, give or take, and we are kind of making it as support now, which is a good bullish factor. We do need to break over this trend line, which I say is around 96.50. If we can get above 96.50 and really show some power through that 9,800, we will see 10,000 fairly quickly, which is a psychological level, and we've tested it several times in the past, being at this line my cursor is at right now. It's a little below 10,000, but that 10,000 level, people will probably sell a little bit here and there. And once it gets past that 10,000, then we can really test the resistance level of the $11,700 level, give or take $50. So as you can see, this line right here is some major resistance that we actually, when we sold off a while back to the 6,500 back in February 4th, I believe, and then we rallied up. We actually made this a resistance line that was here and double topped an intermediate on the daily, and then traveled down to that 6,500, where we kind of found a double bottom as of now. So if we can continue this momentum up and break up through the 96 to 90, 98, and then actually show some power past the 10,000, I think the bulls are going to have the ball in their court, and we're going to definitely continue higher. Like I said, we are near some resistance. If we do want to have an intermediate pullback, like the volume isn't that great, we're not getting a whole lot of volume to really push us through. We might see it after we break this trend line or past 10,000. So it all depends in the coming days where we might be headed. If we do want to pull back a little, we could make that right shoulder and create an inverse head and shoulder. I necessarily don't like that pattern per se. Some other pullback levels, if I draw this right here, we could see 7,100 to 7,500 on the low end. That's if we do not break that low of 6,500. So if I draw that trend line up, bulls would definitely have to keep hold of that trend line. I do think if we can gather some momentum where we are trading at this 9,300 level, then we could push up as we got to this level and the bullies and the moving averages are all turning over. We are above this ATR trailing stop, which is a bullish indicator, and we are just kind of consolidating right now around these levels. We do need to break up, and we do need that 99, or let's say $10,000 level to really break and become very bullish. All these levels on the daily kind of play out. Let me go to the 4-hour and just show you a little bit of other resistance levels. Here's that downtrend line. If I do mark it, let's just see the level that we need to break. If I do just move it a little, we do need to break that 9,500, and that's 95 to 9,600 is a level that we do need to get past as bulls. It did break once here, twice. So maybe this third time will get us up over this trend line, and the bulls can actually go and retest that 9,800, and then eventually around the $10,000 mark. On the 4-hour, let me just see what the MACD is doing. The MACD is kind of consolidating because it's not pointing down, but it is bearish at the moment, but it looks like it's starting to point up. So, and we are at 9,300. Like I said, we've been consolidating over this level. If I do draw another trend line, we are kind of making this bullish pennant formation. As you can see, this line right here would be the top, and this would be the pennant formation. So traders could take a trade off of that pennant if it wants to come down. It doesn't necessarily have to come all the way down here. It could stop at support levels of 8,600, 8,650 to the retest of 84. And if it does want to gain some momentum down on the bearish thesis, it could be 7,800. Bulls want to see it get past this 9,500 and 96, 98, and then eventually 99,950 to 10,000 level, which will propel it to that bigger resistance up at the 11,700 mark. So let's look at those levels, and obviously it plays a big importance in our overall coin market, as Bitcoin is the leader and is our market breadth, like the S&P is the stocks. So let's keep an eye open for this this bullish pennant to see if it continues its up thrust or starts to move lower for a temporary pullback. It might want to pull back just to shake some longs out and give some bears hope, bring some shorts in, and then maybe we'll see a nice squeeze up. So that's Bitcoin. Let's look at Litecoin, and then I'll do ETH. Let me just get a different, bear with me here. Just trying to get a different movement. Litecoin is trading at 5,200. As you can see on this chart, it does look bullish. We are kind of in this little wedge that bears could consider it to be a bear flag from its high up here at 166. We are trading in this up channel, and we're currently at the bottom of the up channel. So right now it's just consolidating. If bears want to see it move lower, it needs to break that 149 with some power between 149 and 148. And then it could find some support at 137 to 135, and then possibly 120. If this were to start to travel down lower, after 120 could be the 110 to 106, and then the in the early 90s of 92. I do think we've hit our low for the year in Litecoin, and it definitely was oversold. We've had a nice move, and we've been in it since 114 and 115. We had some volume coming in. We've just kind of been pushing up. We haven't had that big Litecoin move that many are hoping for or waiting for per se, as it just hasn't happened yet. It could happen very soon though. It is working its way up this channel. Bulls would like to see it get past that 155, which would bring back that 160 level. And then eventually, if we break this 166 level, we could be looking at the top of the channel, roughly around anywhere. There is some resistance around the 180. If I go back in this 4-hour chart, there is resistance around 172 to 175. These are resistance levels from back then, and then also 180. So it might hit its head a couple times on some resistance levels like it did here around the 166. So once it breaks that and shows some power, we could just blow through them and go and test that 180 area. The top of the channel would bring us almost to 200, to 192 to 200. So that is a possibility if I extend this out, depending on how it wants to move through its resistance levels. So definitely 166 is the new resistance, and then there's some at 172, 180, and definitely 192. And then obviously $200 is the psychological level. If we do get one of those big moves that Litecoin is known to do, the big resistance level would be right around $240. I'm not saying we're going to get there in one day. Just if we do get one of those awesome moves that Litecoin is known to do, then we could see it. If I go to the daily, let's just get another perspective on the daily chart. We did break out of this this wedge a few days ago, maybe about 2 weeks ago, when Bitcoin started to become bullish. And we have been consolidating around this 150 area, which is good news. We just don't want it to, I know it's come down a couple times below 150, and I know bulls get a little scared. It's like, uh-oh, are we breaking? Are we staying? What? So, but good news is we are kind of keeping above that level, regardless if we're testing lower. It seems like people are buying it up when it gets below 150. And we still are in that channel. So the daily suggests if we do get a nice move, we could consolidate up a little higher and then push up and get to that 180 level, and then eventually the 200. And the major resistance, obviously, when I scroll out, is that 240. Above this white line trend line, I just want to say above this white trend line around the 153 area, that right there is a good sign for bulls, as that's the main uptrend line that we need to get back above and start trading on, which actually has been from way back here. See, so if I were to draw a line all the way across from that traverse section, we do need to get above that. And whether or not we want to move sideways or whatnot, I think it would be very good for the bulls to get above that level. I also just want to look at this other chart, as sometimes it shows me a little bit different. Here's the daily. I know some people lines aren't the greatest on technical analysis, but you can see here, this is the high right here at 366, and this line on the daily is perfect with this line. I know some people move their trend lines on Litecoin like that, and they say we're above it, but these lines are here for a reason. These top candle wicks, they go there for a reason, and I think that we still haven't broken up, and that is a reason why we haven't seen the volume really come in for Litecoin and push it higher. So we're kind of just at the edge of the wedge, and it really hasn't shown the greatest push. I think once we get above 166, we could see a nice move. Here's a daily candle back then. This was back on February 15th, and this went from 154, just this one daily candle, to $220. So if we can do something like that once we get above 160, then, and it could happen at any day. We are above this bully, see the middle bully band, and we were above it right there. So if we can stay above it and actually push this up higher, I mean, we could see a nice squeeze in the coming days and possibly all the way back up to that candle of 260, which is, right around 240, 260, where you can see the candle wicks above back here. So there's some resistance there. So maybe we'll see a daily candle wick there in the coming days, which would be nice. Let's see. I'm going to go to another one. I'm going to do EOS. Let's do EOS, as this really has been strong. I don't know if many of you have this or whatnot, but we were in it at $4, a little more than $4 back here once we noticed this this reversal wick. I'm going to zoom in so you can see it. This has been a nice trade. We are still holding, as most of the coins that I'm holding are actually, I'm trying to hold for more than a year. So I'm not trying to take, $5 gains or $10 gains. I'm really not trading them per se like I would with the stock market. I'm kind of adding when I can to certain coins that are either oversold or taking off some at resistance levels and buying back at support levels. I did take a few off here the other day, and I'm just waiting for a little bit lower prices, which hasn't happened yet. But as you can see, that reversal candle, we got in somewhere around here in the $4 marks, and it just started to blast. It consolidated in this flag. As you can see, we drew this a long time ago. It broke out. We posted on Instagram, stock twits, let people know on Twitter, to get in on this, and it just has been breaking out. This has definitely been a home run, as you can see every day. This is the daily candles, so every day has just been great. Last night, I think I woke up around 3 in the morning, and it was at 23.24. Since then, there has been some profit taking. You could see some volume. There is profit taking here and there, but people have actually bought this up. This is the first crypto coin that I've seen since last year actually break out to new all-time highs and actually made a nice run past it. So the all-time highs were at, I believe, 1880. Let me just look real quick. All-time high with the wick was around $19. It broke out a little above. So it's been known to do that. I've described that many times in videos. Usually the second time of major resistance, it'll break out above, and then it'll come back to either consolidate or just pull back slightly for profit taking. And then the third time it breaks through will really rip it. So, and also too, there's a lot of buyers that like to buy all-time highs. So this is a bullish sign for EOS. And I believe they have some good news on their project. And that is the reason for their nice big blast off from $4 to roughly $24. So, I mean, this has been a great move for EOS, and I can see it a lot higher. Fibonacci suggests 28 short term, but we could even see this by the end of the year up above $60. So that is a very big possibility with EOS, especially the moves that cryptos make. Could this pull back? Yes, this could pull back a little farther. As you can see, the wick, some people are buying this dip. So, and it actually has moved all the way down from 17 to almost 19 now. ATR support is around $16, which would coincide with this uptrend line. This other major uptrend line, if Bitcoin started to go down a little bit, is right around $12.60 to $13. So if you can see a dip down there, which I'm hoping for, not necessarily going to get it, but I would love to see it around $13 to dip by. It is also making this nice little bull flag, so maybe we see some consolidation like this one for 5 or 6 days, and then next week kind of break up and maybe move a little higher and retest the all-time high now at 23, I believe 23.35, give or take on the daily. Let's just look at the 4-hour real quick. EOS is definitely one of my favorites and has really been propping up my overall portfolio well most altcoins and Bitcoins are trading sideways. So as you can see, we're a little negative below the 4-hour bully, but there is some support here, and it hasn't failed support. And like I said, next level would be around 16, which also would coincide with this Bollinger Band, and major support from the breakout right here around that 1570. MACD did cross on the 4-hour. So we'll just have to kind of keep our eye open for that. But I would like to see this kind of just chop, eventually come down here, chop, eventually come down here, where I would be a buyer somewhere around that level. That's if we can get there. And like I said, I still hold a nice size position in this, but I do want to re-add from the ones that I took off. I took off actually a little early. It did fly up, but I was hoping for it to come back a little bit to re-add. And I think a lot of people were actually, just because it's had such a nice move. 4 to 20 is still a great move. If I could have got the top, I would have. A good place to take some off would have been the $19.80 level, as others are buying here, some are selling. So hopefully we can get it down there and then create a nice bullish flag on the 4-hour and then break up in time with Bitcoin's moves or the rest of the altcoins. So that's EOS, so look for that. Hopefully it does pull back. If not, oh well. Let's look at NEO. NEO has definitely been making some nice moves. Let me erase some of these lines. I think I was explaining the chop, where it could chop right now. But as you can see on the 4-hour, since it broke out of this channel and broke out back in the 40s, which we were lucky to get some in the 40s, it has just been on a roll. It's actually been very bullish. It's been holding this 4-hour upline trend. Is still intact. It hit our mark of $90 yesterday. It actually went to 96, it says here, so around $95 to $96 it had hit yesterday on Sunday. And there's profit taking, but you could just see every time it broke out, it would pull back, broke out, so it pulled back. So maybe we could see it at its low if it holds this trend at 77, let's say. Maybe 76 would be a good pullback buy spot. It would need to hold this trend line, obviously. If it's sold off right from here, it could see 75.50, but I don't think it would get there necessarily. There is major support here at the $80 and $81 per se, with the bully is still turning up on the 4-hour. 4-hour hasn't crossed. There is some selling, just some profit taking, but it does look like it wants to go higher. $100 would be obviously a psychological spot. Most coins and stocks that break that $90 level would most likely go and test the $100 level. It's been known to do that in stocks, and I don't see why it couldn't do that with coins, since that is a psychological level. Let me go to the daily and just take a look at it with y'all. MACD is still bullish. As you can see, it kind of came down a little bit right here when we went and tested that $71 level. And we are just in a kind of a pullback slight. There is some selling. Obviously, you see the tops of the wicks, but nothing bearish on NEO at all, in my opinion. I think next level, if it can break out over this 92, 95, this 92.50 level, 93, let's say, then we could go and test the top of this channel between 117 and 120, depending about how much consolidation. It could just consolidate right here and make kind of a bull flag and then break out, consolidate. And if it did that, then 120 would bump its head on this resistance line. If I zoom out, you could see this white line was major support. It was the low, and it also broke through that a while back, but this has been a nice uptrend line from here. So If we can get back above that, I think we can regain some momentum and eventually test. If we could get over this 120 resistance, we could definitely test the 148 level and maybe chop around there for a little bit. But the high was at just about it was at $200. So, I think we're working our way back up slowly but surely, and we will retest the high of $200, in the coming weeks. So keep your eye on NEO. It is a big mover. It likes to swing about $10 a day. Let's go try ETH. ETH has been on a roll. I believe it hit some resistance recently. If I can find it, it should be up in here. There it is. ETH is trading at $680. MACD still looks a little bullish. It's cruising up. Our volume is getting kind of low on the buy side, and there was a big sell, not too long ago, but we have been just on a monster bull run. Is this a dead cat bounce? I mean, it's one hell of a dead cat bounce if that's the case. We are back above this resistance line of 567, which was the original low, roughly. Actually, it was about 556. So we are above that resistance level. There was some resistance right here. Went as low as 365. I think we were looking at 333, but it just didn't get to our mark. We did get some once it broke above this ATR right around the 450 level, and really has just been on a roll. It did hit its head against this trend line, which we drew from this low candle wick to this low candle wick, and it actually bumped its head perfectly against it. If it can break up above that 720 level, the next resistance level would be around 800 to 806. If it can get above that 806, which is, a nice uptrend line, then we can consolidate and see higher prices. Maybe the 50% fib, which is trading at roughly about $1,000, and then eventually work its way up with Bitcoin. Next resistance after 1,000 would be 1,200, and then eventually that 1440, let's say 1430. So, if I extend the Fibonacci's to ETH, it suggests that we could see a $4,000 ETH, in the coming weeks to months. So let's keep our eyes open for that. Just, if you're bearish and you're trying to buy the pullback, you might see it at 615 and as low as 567, depending on our market breadth, which is Bitcoin. Next would be, let me just pause that right now. Would be, let's do XRP, just a quick one. XRP is consolidating at 83 cents. We did break out of this little wedge channel. We are still bearish until we can get above this $1.20 level, which is also coinciding with this resistance level right here on my dotted line. So it would need to break that. We definitely need to get above that psychological level of $1, which is also resistance. But if we can actually, chop in this, let's say, bull flag, consolidation flag, and then break up and over that $1.20, then I think we could see the all-time high, in the next few months to Christmas time, maybe sooner, depending on news and whatnot. I mean, this took 3 months to get here, so maybe in 3 months we get back to the all-time high, pull back a little, and then blast off around Christmas time. That is possibilities. MACD is kind of curling over, but has not crossed yet. But the volume is definitely thinning at these prices. So we either need to see some volume come in or some more consolidation just to let indicators kind of retrace its steps and get back to its mean, and then eventually restart its bullish move. So we might see some consolidation between 175 and a dollar level for Ripple. So look for those moves under 75 cents could bring it back down to this 50 cents level, which could happen. So keep an eye open for that. But I would like to see this move higher. I do have a position in this. I necessarily don't agree with everything that they are for, but obviously there's buyers in this. They're friends with banks, and I'll be friends with banks too. So that is that. Let's do IOTA. I love IOTA. It went right to my resistance level. It actually went above it by like 6 cents or something. But IOTA is just kind of traveling sideways for over a week now. This is the daily chart. Let's see, today's Monday, so Sunday, Saturday, Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday. So yeah, it last Tuesday it hit the high. I think I had talked about it in the last video where it was headed. It went right to it. It is still bullish. The bully is coming over. The MACD is starting to cross down, which is okay as long as we can hold these levels. We might see a pullback as low as $1.50 for a rebuy. I necessarily don't think we possibly could get to $1.50, as I feel like we are just in oversold territory for days, and we could see some news propel it higher. Next levels of resistance will be $3, and let's see, we'll do $3 right here at this level of resistance, and then we possibly could see anywhere from $4 to $5, depending on where you want to say this resistance is at. Definitely $4. So if we get up to $4, do we consolidate like this again? So, or are we doing that right here with a possible blast off here in the coming days? I mean, it could do something like this. If you look back at the MACD here, it actually, the bully is right about there. It turned up. It turned up, and here's the bully. So maybe we pop off the bully in the coming days and actually have a couple thrusts to that $3 level. If it mimicked this move back in November, and then maybe we see some ultimate power to all-time highs, depending on relations and some of the stuff that it's coming out with as far as its partnerships and whatnot. So let's just see where IOTA goes. But those are some levels. If we could buy it at 150, I would probably add it $1.50. If it wants to go lower than that, then obviously there's major support at $1, and I don't believe it goes any lower than that, especially with all the things IOTA is doing right now. Definitely oversold, but overbought in the intermediate term. We do need to see more volume come in. There has been some good amount, but nothing like it was built up. I want to see it build up and not go lower. So let's see where this is headed in the coming days. I'm going to just do a quick one on ENG, as my brother-in-law is trading in ENG and wanted to see where it may be headed. So I did send him some pictures. So anybody else that is in ENG, the volume looks really good in this. It really does. Could we pull back some? Yeah, we could pull back some and maybe create a right shoulder. Here's a left shoulder and a head and maybe a right shoulder, that could propel us higher. That's if it starts to pull back. Right now, it did hit its head on, I believe, that $3 resistance. I haven't been watching it, but I did tell them that there is resistance at $3, as you can see right here, $3, and it does look like it might have tapped it today. So there is volume coming in. So do I think that's the end of it? No. This one does look like it likes to make smaller moves, not necessarily in the day, but a lot of consolidation. Whether it's on a selling spree or a buying spree, this one likes to consolidate a lot. So if we break over the $3 level, the next area of importance would be this $3 $3.70 level. So it would probably head to that $3.70 level. It could pull back in this uptrend as far as $2.50, and to continue to be bullish, I would like to see it over 240. It could put a wick down to this support around the $2 range, but I'm highly doubting it right now as it looks to be in a nice prime uptrend. Middle bully is moving upwards along with moving averages. It is above the daily bullish ATR, and it's just testing resistance levels like anything, resistance and support. So if you could buy it at levels of 238, 240, and sell at 3 for intermediate traders, that might work for consolidation, or you might see a nice move higher as there has been some nice volume coming in. So if this breaks out $3 range, you're going to see a nice move to possibly $3 and anywhere from 340 to 370, and then work its way higher. And then obviously we have $4.54 to $5, and then all-time high in ENG is around $8.62, which would be its primary target as we are in an uptrend. It's just going to take time, obviously, to get there, unless it makes one of its, crazy coin moves that possibly could happen on this right side wall. So it could be making a really big cup. Here's the cup, and once it gets to its all-time high, pull back a little. And usually cup and handles usually blast off then. So that could be, by Christmas, that could be sooner. So we just got to see where it's headed, but it's ultimately bullish in the long term, and I do like it. So maybe if I could see it at $2, maybe I'll start a position in that. Let me look at ADA. This is one of my big ones. ADA is bullish yesterday. Some volume came in. Let me just scroll up. We've been on a nice steady up move. MACD is still bullish, as you can see right here. And we are just, we hit our heads actually at this trend line yesterday. So, I think I had this drawn out. So 39 cents, I think last video I said it will head to 42 cents. So we're getting close. Maybe it pulls back to this 29-cent level. This is on the daily. We do have some support around 33 to 35 cents. If it wants to continue lower, it could go as far as that 29 cents level, which would be a great buy op. But we did have this nice volume coming in, push out. So I think we're just seeing profit taking before we head higher. Maybe we consolidate a little bit and then get up to that 42-cent resistance level. Once that breaks an ADA, we could see a nice little move to 50 cents for sure, where there's a little bit of resistance, and then also to the next big level of resistance in the 60s to 70-cent range, and then work its way higher. There is resistance up at 75 cents, which would also coincide with the 50 cent, with the 0.50 Fibonacci level, and then a lot of these coins are working its way up to the all-time high. It takes time unless some news propels it, like EOS. But the all-time high for ADA was $1.38. So could we head that way? Sure, why not? There's been things saying that it'll be $4 to $10 this year, which they are working on some great things, and they got some heady guys working for the company. So I do see some greatness with ADA and a lot of potential. So that's all I'm going to do for today, guys. I think I made the video pretty long, so check me out in the next video. If there's something you want me to, do some technical analysis on, definitely shoot me a comment or an email. Give me a like, subscribe if you want to know when my next video is out. Check out the website that we're starting, and we'll see you on the next video. Just remember, a lot of things are coinciding with Bitcoin, so If Bitcoin starts to go down, some of the altcoins might go down for a small pullback. But it seems to me as we are in a good little uptrend, and we should continue the momentum. We might pull back for a day or two, but it won't be too crazy. Just kind of to shake out some of the longs and get some new money in and bring some shorts in. Okay, so we'll see you on the next video. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Late.